Despite a ton of growth in recent years, Knoxville still feels like a small city when you actually live here. All you see are growth headlines, new neighborhoods going up, more traffic, net migration numbers, and you might assume that Knoxville is a sprawling metropolis. It isn't. One of the first things people say after they move here is, it still feels small, and that usually surprises them. So in this video, I want to explain why Knoxville still has a small town feel even while it continues to grow, and why that matters if you're thinking about moving here and living here long term. I'm not saying that Knoxville isn't bigger than it used to be. It has. Knoxville's changed. We have more people here. Traffic's a little bit worse now, but the way the city functions and day-to-day life hasn't changed as fast as people expect. One of the biggest reasons Knoxville still feels smaller than it really is comes down to local identity. People here don't usually say they just live in Knoxville. They say where they live: Farragut, Gibbs, Hardin Valley, Halls, Fountain City, Sono, South Knoxville. And these distinctions, they actually mean something here. Everyone in North Knoxville, for instance, still thinks that all the rich and fancy people live in Farragut. And everyone in West Knoxville thinks that everybody that lives in Coreyton and Gibbs, they all live on farms. Well, obviously that isn't true in all cases, but that's kind of how it is. Growing up in Bearden gives you a very different experience than growing up in Strawberry Plains. And people are going to carry that experience with them through their life. And those labels aren't just geographic. They influence commute expectations, school communities, where you shop and eat, who you naturally interact with around town, and who you see. So even though Knoxville is one city, it operates like a collection of connected communities. Imagine Knoxville City as the hub and all these communities spread out. Most people's daily routines stay centered in their part of town, which keeps social circles familiar and grounded. That structure is also going to preserve a sense of closeness even as the population grows. Another reason that Knoxville doesn't feel overwhelming is how routine daily driven life is. You know, we're just like any other city. People build their weeks around predictable rhythms, work schedules, school drop-offs, practice, errands, soccer, family time. That consistency shows up in traffic patterns, neighborhood activity, even when the stores are going to be the busiest. For people relocating from places where daily life feels reactive or constantly changing, this can be a noticeable adjustment. Not slower, just more settled. Over time, that predictability creates comfort. And that comfort is a big reason why people say Knoxville is easier to live in than they expected. A huge reason why Knoxville still feels like a small city is Saturdays in the fall. In the fall, Knoxville really feels like one cohesive unit. Nearly everyone is focused on one single event, that Saturday UT football game. We are very much a college-driven football town. During football season, the Volunteers football very vocally shapes the entire day across the city. Traffic patterns are going to change. Errands get planned earlier. Social plans and even weddings revolve around kickoff times. Even people who aren't diehard fans still notice it because the city is blanketed in Tennessee orange. Areas near campus are going to feel busier. Other parts of town are going to slow down. Conversations everywhere are going to orbit around the same topic. What's wrong with the Vols? How do we fix it? And what do we think is going to happen this weekend? That kind of shared focus creates a sense of community that's rare in growing cities, and it reinforces that small town feel. Another thing you're going to notice after living here for a while is how often you're going to see the same familiar faces. You're going to see the same people at the grocery store, at school events, at youth sports, parks, local restaurants. Not saying that Knoxville is tiny. We're the third biggest city in Tennessee, but people are going to stay anchored to their routines and areas. Those repeated encounters build recognition, and recognition builds comfort. Over time, Knoxville starts to feel very familiar in a way that makes it easier to settle in. Knoxville's layout also is going to play a huge role in this. Instead of stacking upward, the city is going to spread outward. So rivers, hills, green spaces naturally divide the areas into pockets, kind of like natural borders. Rather than one massive urban core, Knoxville is going to have multiple hubs that function semi-independently. Growth happens, but it happens within pockets, not all at once everywhere. That allows neighborhoods to keep their identity even as development continues. Here's a key distinction. Knoxville is growing, but it hasn't lost its sense of connection. People still care deeply about where they live within the city. They still recognize their neighbors. They still build lives around local businesses and routines. For many people relocating here, that balance is the unexpected benefit. They get opportunity and growth without feeling anonymous. And this small town feel is going to affect more than just the atmosphere of the town. It's going to influence where you choose to live, how far you're willing to commute, how involved you're going to become locally in your area, how quickly Knoxville feels like home to you. People who thrive here tend to embrace that rather than try and change that. Knoxville doesn't feel small because it hasn't grown. It feels small because growth hasn't erased area identity, culture, and above all, UT football. And for many people moving here, that balance is exactly what drew you here and what makes Knoxville so special to you.